Hello, it's Denise, Minty Gray Mama, and today I wanted to do my August overview video. I have been wanting to do this video for a long time. I mean, it is like well into September. But I just been slammed with a lot of things happening all at once. So August was kind of um, a month where I had to step back from a lot of things and just focus on what needed to be done in my life, which, which is okay. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. So I started a lot of books in August, and I did not finish most of them. I'm trying to think. I don't think I finished any of them. But one book that I have read most of that I really like, I'm still working through it, is Prairie Fires. And it's The American Dream of Laura Ingalls Wilder by Carolyn Fraser. And this book, well, I just have to say, this, I mean, has nothing to do with tarot, but I absolutely love this book. It just takes me back, like, my childhood. I read the Little House series several times, and I've been reading them to my children, and I just really wanted to know more about the actual life, because the Little House series is based on the life of Laura Ingalls Wilder, but it is somewhat like polished and edited and fictionalized to some degree, and so it's really interesting to hear like the story of her life. And so this has been just a really interesting read. I'm almost done. I have about 60 pages left. So it has pictures. It's just, I don't know. It's really fun. And so that has been kind of taking over a lot of my time because I just want to read this all the time. But other books that I've been working on, I just got this one in, The Language of Tarot, A Proven System for Reading the Cards by Jeanne Reid. I don't really this book and I didn't get along. It's a very interesting book. I like the premise. It says on the back, reading the cards can be as easy as reading the sentence. But and so basically you take the cards and she has like little shorthand meanings for each of the cards, and you string them together and read them like a sentence, which reminds me a lot of Lenormand, reading Lenormand cards. And so I thought it just sounded really fascinating, but the author, I don't always agree with the author on certain things she includes in here. Let's see. So for example, she does have 3 examples of readings she did for clients. One of the clients is named Joe, name changed obviously for confidentiality. And he had issues with his dad, physically abusing him and his brother growing up. And they have a little breakthrough when she does his reading. And then she says, I didn't want to spoil Joe's eureka moment by asking about his mother, who I figured did nothing to protect her children from their father and who therefore was the worst problem. And she says again on page 162, so I saw from this reading, it's another reading and others, cases of father behavior that threaten or injures children. The behavior may be the smoking gun, but the crime is what the mothers don't do. And then she goes on for at least a couple more pages, several more pages about mothers. And, and it just, as a mom, I definitely don't agree with any sort of, I agree that children should be protected. Absolutely. Like that is definitely, something that shouldn't happen, but you can't excuse somebody's behavior saying it's the spouse's responsibility. And she doesn't do that both ways. Like she specifically seems to excuse the behavior of fathers, and their psychological impacts, saying that it's really the crime is really the mother's, reaction. That, the real problem is what the mother does. And that is very off-putting to me. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So this book and I I don't know. I kind of want to still try to use it and block all that other stuff out, but I don't know. We're gonna have to see. So that is that. Another book. Speaking of children, so I found this book a while back. This is Celebrating the Great Mother, and I don't know if I've talked about this on my channel yet. This is by Kate Johnson and Maura D. Shaw, and it has. Let's see if I can get that all the way in there. This has a lot of good information about like different it's a Wheel of the Year type book, but geared toward families, and it has a lot of children's activities. Like for example, Maven coming up, it has making a talking stick, and it has a little like background of the festivals, and has some different herbal things sometimes, and then it has like some different recipes. Let's see that. So, and it has that, around the year for the different festivals. And so this is one that I've actually been using to try to create some like seasonal activities for my kids to do, and then also, just have some talking points for the different festivals and stuff. So that so those are the books that I've really been working on. I have started a whole bunch more, but it's been a crazy month. So another deck that I worked with a lot in August was the Akashic Tarot. As always, I think I pull this out in almost all my monthly overview videos, but I still have just really been liking this deck. I still use it all the time. It's trimmed down now. Oops, there we go. Where are we? There we go. And so what's interesting is having trimmed these down and taken off the titles, I've been playing this game with myself where I mix up my cards and then I try to put them in order, because this is called a tarot deck, but for me it's really more of an oracle deck. It is separated into major arcana and a minor arcana, but it's there's no real correlation between this deck and like a standard tarot deck. So the first card, so the majors, there's 22 majors and they're numbered 1 through 22, and number 1 is the Oracle of Delphi. And that, I mean, it doesn't really, so it's 1, it's not 0, but it doesn't really, to me, it's not really the same meanings as like either the Fool or the Magician, and it goes on. I mean, there's it's just its own system basically. And all the minors, there's 4 suits numbered. Within the suits, they're numbers 1 through 8, and then a king and a queen. So still, it doesn't even, to me. I know they said they based things off of numerology, and I have yet to. My understanding of numerology is not fabulous, but I they don't specifically say in the book how they've used numerology to create this deck, so I don't see the correlations, but I still do love this deck. And so I'll shuffle them up and I'll try to put them in order by memory, and that's really been helping me get connected to my cards. And I've also been writing more in my little my little journal, and just doing that and playing with the cards, like trying to get them in order and all that. That's really been a good way for me to connect with the cards. So I've been really happy with that deck, and I don't know, I use it all the time. So another one I've been using a lot in August and into this month is the Way Home Tarot. This is by Bakara Wintner and Autumn Whitehurst. And I did a video on this, so I won't talk about it too much, but I absolutely love this deck. Absolutely. There's the backs. Oh, they're so slippery and slidey. And I absolutely love this deck. They're just fun to play with. At first, the slipperiness of it was throwing me off, and now I just like how much they slip all over the place. So I just really love this deck. It's like, it's not, the cards aren't very busy, but they really, to me, convey the meanings of the cards well. And it's just a real joy for me to work with this deck. I love it, and I think it might be one of my favorite decks of 2019, if not my most favorite deck. Like, it's really awesome deck, and I love it, and it's great. All right, and another deck. So where did I put it? Oh no. Well, I didn't bring it with me, but another deck that I've been working a lot with is the Thoth deck. Aleister Crowley's Thoth deck with illustrations by Lady Frida Harris. I have been working with that a lot, and I've been trying to do daily draws with that deck so that I can familiarize myself with it a little bit more, and I am planning on reading a book about the Thoth this month, but we'll see. Okay, so a deck that I actually have here is the Mystical Tarot. This is a deck that I just got. It's by Giuliano Costa. Okay, and it is really interesting. And at first, when I got it, so these are the backs, and they have like this little guy's head there, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know, that seems a little creepy to me at first. And some of the cards, so for example, this Seven of Cups, it's got like little fishy seahorsey things going on there, and there's a couple cards like that. There's a knight, I think it's the Knight of Wands, who's riding like a donkey with a ram's head or something. I don't know, because of course they won't pop up now that I'm looking for them. Oh, here we go. What? It's the Knight of Pentacles. So it has like some sort of like odd little things like that in the deck that at first, like, I started using it and I loved it. Like some of them, like, let's see, Justice and the Magician. I like that table on the Magician. I don't know why. And they're just gorgeous, and I love the colors. And Chariot. And then just some of them would have like these little weird things, and then it took me a while to try to figure out like this King of Cups. He's got like this stuff behind him, which is probably, I don't know, to me it reminds me of like intestines or something. So maybe it's just like some tentacles or something. It could be tentacles. That would make sense because it's a sea themed. But yeah, just odd little things here and there. And I wasn't sure if this deck and I would get along. There's the Queen of Cups, and she's got the seahorse creatures and then some little red fishies that look kind of angry. I don't know if you can see that. To me, they look a little angry. But I've been really liking this deck, and the more I work with it, the more I want to work with it, which is always a good sign for me. If I'm trying to work with a deck and I just don't want to work with it, then that's kind of a sign to me that it's not the right time for me. But this one and the Way Home Tarot and the Akashic Tarot, like, I just like want to hold, and I want to shuffle, and I just, I'm just been loving. So that is, oh, let me see if I have, so I have a couple new crystal skulls, but I only have the one with me right now. I was not as prepared as I would like to be for this video. I am trying to film very quickly before I have to go start dinner. But here is one of my newer ones. Her name is Maya. She's an empathic warrior skull because she has been around and she's been chipped up, and she's got little dings and chips all over. She's a labradorite, and it might be hard to tell. And she's got a little bit of flash, like here and there, but I just really, really love this. Oh yeah, you can kind of see a little bit there. I really love this skull. She has such amazing energy. I think the previous owner, I purchased her from a woman who had her in the collection for a while. And I think, she's been with skulls that have been like activated, and she's been taken to all sorts of sacred sites and stuff. So I don't know, she's just fun to have around. So I really like that. And okay, so moving into next month, something I've been starting is for September is Lenormand. I kind of been toying with picking it back up again for a while, and I don't know, like I just I wasn't ready to fully like commit. I was really into Lenormand, I want to say about 7 years ago. And the only book that I could find at the time in English was, I'm going to forget her name, but I think it was Sylvie Steinbach's Lenormand book. And so I worked with that one for a while, and then ended up kind of putting that away, and I haven't picked it up since. So, except for like to look through some cards or, but I haven't really worked with it. So I'm hoping a lot of it comes back to me. But I don't have my original book, so I purchased this, here we go, The Essential Lenormand by Ronna George. And I purchased this the end of 2017, so I've had it a while, and it's just kind of been sitting there like tempting me now and again to pick it up and go through it. And the Lenormand I'm planning on using is my Ronna George Lenormand deck. It is awesome. I've looked through this deck. I really love this deck, and I don't know that I would say it's my favorite deck, because I think my favorite deck is still the Celtic Lenormand, but I really do like this deck. It has a smell to it, but it's more like a new card smell, like new. It's not like necessarily a bad smell. I don't know. Like, I'm being all weird and smelling my cards, but that's okay. So they have a lot of like shine on them. And there's the back, super shiny. And I'm not usually like a gold person. I prefer silver, but I really like the gold on these. And the rest of the cards, it's not going to show up, but they almost, to me, like just the green in here almost looks iridescent somehow, but I don't know if that's actually like that or if it's just, if I'm just imagining that. But when I look at them, maybe I'm just imagining that. Anyway, it's a very pretty deck, and I'm excited to use it. I haven't read much of the book other than the introduction and maybe a little bit of the first chapter. But she does go into why it's good to pick one system of Lenormand and stick with it for a while, just to get those meanings clear in your head and your subconscious, so that you're not getting confused. And I totally agree with what she was saying. So I've decided to, at least for this month, like I'm going to read this book. This is probably more than enough for me to read, and I'm just going to work with this one book and this one deck and go from there. So that is something. And another deck that I just got in, I haven't even opened it yet. It's like still in the plastic wrap, and it's the Herb Crafters Tarot. And I used to be really into herbs, and I just kind of set it aside. Like in high school, one of my papers that I wrote was all about medicinal herbs. So it's been something I've loved for a long time, but yeah, it's just, I feel like I've had to put a lot of my own interests aside so that I can deal with, all the new responsibilities of having kids and all that stuff, and move, we move several times, all this stuff. So I feel like kind of now, like the end of this year, I feel almost like I'm reclaiming parts of myself that I had left behind, like with the Lenormand and with herbs and just some of my other studies. Like it feels like coming back home, not so much learning, like the excitement of learning something new. It's like gives me that feeling of the comfort feeling of coming back home, if that makes sense. So I'm really excited about that. And then the book, the Thoth book that I plan on reading, if I can. The thing with the poor Thoth, I really want to learn that deck, and every time I start, it just seems so complicated that I feel like I just am like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be able to get all this, and I kind of give up. So this book is Tarot and the Path of Initiation by Howe. And it's supposed to be basically like the author's introduction of how he was studying. Like, he is a student of the Thoth and like Western mysteries, and he was studying the deck, and so this is like what he's learned. So it's not like completely perfect. Like, he's not saying like he's an authority from like, you know, having studied it 30 years and whatnot, but it says, and so, heartful of elitist snobbery and a sense of obligation to Crowley, the author of this book set out to spoon-feed this dense material to the masses without watering down its contents. And so I thought, that sounds interesting. And I've read some of the card descriptions, and I really like how it's laid out in here. So I'm hoping to be able to read that in September. But already it is like the 9th today, and it's just, you know, there's always so much I'd like to do, and I'm trying to be more realistic about what I'm actually going to be doing, so we'll see about that. And I think that is everything. So I'm so happy that I finally got a chance to sit down and make a video, and I hope that you're having a really wonderful start to your September, and I will talk to you again soon.